G'day, everybody. Andy Maher. This is Hostplus One. We're talking great retirements throughout the series, thanks to Hostplus. That's a plus. And today, talking to former Essendon star, captain, best and fairest winner, rising star, All-Australian, over 250 games. The man did it all. In fact, did a whole lot more in his career than a lot of players get to do. Some of it, much of it great, and some of it not so. You've lived an extraordinary life in football, Dyson Heppell, and it's great to have you on the show.
Andy, good on you, mate. No, thank you very much. It's certainly been a journey, but look, one that I sit here now and look back on just super fondly and extremely grateful for the entire journey.
It's not a career of two halves, but you can sort of break it into the kind of blinding ascent. Like, you came into the game highly regarded, clearly through your underage process, your position you went, come draft day, and the impact you made quickly in the career, and it's all heading in one direction. And then we get to that juncture, which I always feel like so many of the guys who lived it, and you in particular, and you came out of it with a profoundly responsible position at the footy club at the end of it all, sort of reluctant to talk about, and I completely understand it. But do you see your career, if you really kind of boil it down in simple terms, do you see your career like that a bit?
It's not a bad shout, absolutely. I think the two polars of the both of them, that initial first sort of, 4 or 5 years of my career, I feel like I'm literally two different people going through that experience, and the growth and the learning and the strength of character and the resilience and the relationship building and just everything that went into that. I came out the other side of that experience transformed as a new bloke and a new understanding and a new feel for footy, a new found love for my close circle of people, a new outlook on life and what footy in itself means to me, finding new passions, new hobbies outside of the game, so I didn't wrap my entire identity into footy itself. So I probably do look at it as just a complete new, just a different person coming out the other side of it.
Yeah.
And going through that experience, it really helped me learn, I guess, to be really mindful of my own inner state. And looking back and going through that period, mate, it was like I had to really have an awareness of how I was feeling. What I did find was that throughout the weeks, I was numb. I was even feeling a bit anxious. And the only time where I felt free and joyful and happy was on a weekend having a kick, which is the beauty of footy. But it took a long time for me to actually have that awareness to go, I'm actually, like everything we were going through at the time, I'm not this real happy, exuberant, joyful, normal self.
Yeah.
And then actually nearly forced me to do a lot of inner work to be able to have that awareness and acceptance of everything that was going on, to then be able to, free myself to be bloody happy and love footy again and just move forward into that next phase of my life.
So that's fascinating, and we'll unpack a bit of that on the way through, as much as you're prepared to sort of share with us. But when you're talking about that person who you discovered because of the circumstances you lived through, how foreign to the kid growing up in Leongatha was that person?
Look, I don't think the kid from Leongatha never left, but the real, I guess, passion and optimism and everything sort of just got clouded
Understandably
throughout
so,
that,
mate.
no doubt, throughout that period. And I think just the real trust, the real just, I think the trust in everyone and everything around me in terms of what I thought a footy environment would be, certainly had a bit of a murkiness to it throughout that period. So, but yeah, as I said, that the young fella that still absolutely loved footy, idolised Hurdy, loved the Bombers, he never left, and once I just did navigate my way through that murkiness and the heaviness, the anxiousness, that numb feeling, it sort of, exploded out the other side, I guess, which I'm fortunate to be.
Do you have any resentment? Is that part of what you carry and might carry with you for the rest of your life, do you think?
Look, I don't have any deep resentment. No, I don't. ideally, look, I say, look, you hindsight unreal. Yes, you could say I would not have wanted to go through it. But having said that, I feel like the person who I am now and what I got from the rest of my career was that had an enormous play in formulating that. And the joy that I actually got through the latter part of my career, I have no doubt if I didn't go through everything I did, I wouldn't have had the same outlook on things.
There's going to be a lot of people listening to you saying that who are going to be, they'll be full of admiration for you because of, the reality that you lived. But they're going to find it hard to understand how you came to that because it was, there was a lot of years that should have been different for you and your teammates. So it's not just about you, but we're talking to you today about your lived experience through the whole thing. How hard was it to get there? Through the, I don't know how many years you want to sort of suggest it was a living, real thing that you were living through, but 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it was.
Yep.
How hard was it for you to go from being the young kid whose dreams are to play for that footy club to get to where you had to get to be able to deal with it and keep going?
Yeah, look, it was a process. And it did take time, and it did take. I think it took an understanding of. It was I had a choice. I had a choice if I wanted to become a victim of the situation that I was in and what we were handed, which we could do nothing about, absolutely nothing about. I could choose to succumb to that and my own internal narrative be, we're so hard done by, this is woe is me, why this, why us?
Mm-hmm.
Or I had that distinct moment of going, okay, how do I want to attack this? How do I want to feel? Who do I want to be?
That's awesome.
And it was that, I do recall just a point in time where it was like, no, like bugger this. Like I can change and switch the narrative on this situation and choose how I want to be and carry myself. And can I learn and grow throughout this experience? And it was just sort of that exploration of my own internal nature, and listening to podcasts and talking with people and finding others that have been through enormous amounts of adversity, and just meeting some incredible people along the line to go, no, you get the choice on how you want to respond to situations.
So I wasn't going to open the chat with this, but we're here now, so we'll keep going. Who were the people? You said a bit earlier that you found strength in the people closest to you. That could have been people at the footy club. It could have been people away. It could have been family. Can you remember, were there particular people who you sought out or you found or they came to you that helped you deal with it and come out the other side the way you have?
Two that spring to mind the most. So one being my partner, Kate. She was just the most incredible rock of just love and support, and she has a really healthy emotional intelligence, beyond her years from such a young age, and she was able to give me a hell of a lot of perspective during that time, as well as not sweeping it away. It was reasoning with me, it was guiding me, it was helping me, and just letting me vent everything I needed to, with her being able to carry all of that as well. So outrageously grateful for her during that time, and I probably haven't expressed that enough to her. So a big nod to Kate.
Well, hopefully she's listening.
Yes, we'll make sure she listens.
Yes.
And the other one being Hugh Van Cuylenberg from the Resilience Project. Funnily, I think it was nearly the day before we got sanctioned, Hugh came and did a presentation around the Resilience Project, based around gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness to the boys at the club. And some guys absolutely weren't ready to hear it at the time, but for some reason it struck a massive chord with me, and the stories that he was telling, and that probably sent me down a real path of exploration, and caught up with Hugh a number of times post then. And he was just amazing in terms of being able to put things and give me tools to be able to handle what we were going through. And that sort of made me go down that real rabbit hole of exploring my own internal nature. And
it's serious growth.
Yeah.
Really, isn't it? I mean, coming out of something that is a negative and full of, despair for a lot of people, to be able to turn it around and come out the other end of it feeling like you've grown as a human being and not shut down and seen nothing but the negatives. That's pretty powerful stuff.
Enormously, mate. Enormously powerful. And just realizing that two people can have the exact same experience, but it's your own internal dialogue, your own internal nature in how you decide, that real choice on how you decide to handle things that can go in two complete opposite directions.
Yep.
And, you know, I made that distinctive choice to go down the track of to optimism, to resilience, to passion, to love, to gratitude for everything that I possibly could. So, look, extremely grateful for it, mate. And it's not only for footy itself, it's helped me in life in general and facing any form of stresses or challenges that arise.
Oh, no, that's much bigger picture stuff than winning and losing a game of footy.
Yeah.
So you take over from BJ at the don't want to say the end of it, but when you're coming out of it, you become the captain of the footy club. Did that shape, or clearly that shaped the sort of captain you wanted to be? I mean, if there's a knock on you, it's a crazy knock. It's that you were far too positive. It's crazy, right?
True. Yeah.
That is the knock you hear. Hey, no, he wasn't hard enough, and he was too positive, and he's too optimistic, and did you feel like that's who you'd become, obviously, but did you feel like that's what the players who were playing with you needed to see from their captain at that time?
Yeah, look, and absolutely I wasn't everyone's cup of tea. Some guys wanted that just real ruthless, hard-edged leader that would just tell it how it is all the time, you know? And I tried, but I didn't want to fabricate who I was as a captain, as a leader, as a person. And it took me a bit to navigate that period. I was 24 when I overtook the captaincy, still a really young leader, and it took me time to find my real own authentic leadership. But I think what I did realise that I wanted to, part of my leadership, that everyone that was to play under me felt valued, felt safe, and felt a real sense of belonging. And part of that is me being a bullish optimist, is I wanted to try and make everyone feel like they could grow, they could learn and feel part of something that we were building.
Yep.
And it took me time to help to lean on guys like BJ, to lean on other guys around me that were those more stern, those rocks of guys they're able to demand more from others. And I certainly developed that side of my game, my leadership. But I think that delegation was a big part of my leadership as well, and leaning on others. Do
you feel like that was a part of the kind of repair process that? I don't know whether you thought that deeply about it, because this is just who you are and it's your job. But did you think that this club's got to repair? There's aspects all over the joint. This club's been hurt by what we've been through, and we do need to get better. Did you feel like that was your way of helping repair the people as much as anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring as much sort of life to the footy club that I possibly could, and just rock up with a real sense of enthusiasm. And it wasn't fabricated. I at times, yes, you are down and you have to lift to give a bit, but most of the time, mate, I came in just being my normal self and just giving so much energy to the club, to the boys, to whatever program we were attacking at the time. I just give absolutely everything to it. Tried to set the example in the way that I approached everything that we were doing, and also being there as an openness, so players felt like they could come to me with whatever was going on.
Yep.
And also the broader club, the connection with fans, trying to get them to feel really proud to be fans of the club again, and the staff within the footy club as well. If I saw my leadership as if I could have a positive influence on those around me, not only the playing group, but the rest of the broader Essendon community, then, to me, that was my leadership. That was my success,
Remarkable. There's a lot more to talk to you about. There's a lot more to your life in footy than those years, but I think everybody listening right now is going to be a lot wiser to an individual's journey within those troubled times at the footy club. Thanks for telling us about it. There's a lot more to talk to you about. Moving jobs or into retirement, Hostplus moves with you. Dyson Heppell, our special guest. That's a plus. Issued by Hostplus Pty Limited. General advice only. Consider the Hostplus PDS and TMD at hostplus.com.au before deciding if Hostplus is appropriate for you. Welcome back. It is Hostplus One. Andy Maher, your host. Dyson Heppell, our very, very, very special guest. let's go back to the decision you had to make, I don't know, over the period of time that it took you to make it, but to give it away at this level, you're 32, you're still healthy, your last game of footy's a cracker. How long had you been, dealing with the possibility that retirement was for you at this stage of your life?
Yeah, good one. I think I would say early on in the season, I definitely felt that I would have played on. The first probably 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds of footy, I was in a mindset of just playing, but also going, no, I think I'm still in good nick. Still have the joy and love and passion to go again. And then probably hit midway through the year, and it got to a point where, okay, I actually need to make a call here on what I'm doing and just really assess what I wanted from one, footy, but two more so being, okay, what could life look like beyond footy? Mm-hmm. And I think once I did really sit down and assess what that could be and the excitement around that as well, the floodgates sort of opened a bit to exploring more of that and just sitting with that feeling for quite a period of time. Over the next couple of months, it was to-ing and froing, and probably changed my decision 7 or 8 times, and talking with Kate and talking with, mates and family and whatever, as well as, Brad and the footy club, and eventually got to the consensus that I feel for the position where the club was at, the personnel that were coming through, I felt like it was a really fitting time for me to hang up the boots and allow them to grow into this next chapter of the Essendon Footy Club.
Take us deeper into that. What do you need to convince yourself that, or have convinced to you? I'm not sure how it plays out at this level, but that was the reality, that they were moving into a different phase, and maybe you didn't necessarily have as profound a role in whatever that looked like as you might have needed to feel you had.
True. There is absolutely an element of that too. It was, one, the leadership of Zachy Merritt. He's just developed incredibly over the last couple of years, and part of me was I really wanted to still be playing while I handed over that captaincy, and I thought we did that transition period really well.
Yep.
And, helped, not that I had to do much for Zach, because he's just an incredible leader in himself, but he is, he's taken the reins there, feeling really confident and comfortable with him as the leader, along with Andy Maher and a number of other guys around him. And then it was also, my own role within the team. There were periods where I got dropped for the first time in my career. Never been dropped, never played a game of EFL in my entire career. And it got to a point there, later on in the season where, that was the reality of it. And I had to navigate that little period, and that sort of added another element to the decision, where guys came in, the likes of Archie Roberts, who is a little star, just a great personality and a little gun, and I see him come in, perform really well, and slot into that lineup beautifully. And, that added to my role, it can quickly become redundant. And guys can come and fill that gap. And that sort of made me think, well, if there's guys below me that can come in and play, just as well and do my role, then I feel really comfortable knowing that I've helped develop these guys and actually got a lot of joy out of seeing them play well. So, also with that competitive bugger inside of me going,
the thing, right? Yeah.
No doubt I want to be out there, absolutely. But if there's a silver lining, I know I've had an influence on these guys getting better, and would get a lot of joy out of watching their careers prosper.
Did you still want to play footy though? Like, is it something that still sits within you, that your love for the game, your love for Saturday, your love strapping on the boots?
Mate, absolutely. And that was, I think for me, the easy decision would have been to roll around again. I think that would have been the easy call, because it's what I know. It's my entire life. My whole life has just been footy since I was 5 years old and had the dream to play AFL.
Yep.
And for me, it was like, okay, if I could sit here and just be, really sit with my feelings and step into a new challenge, a new phase, something that daunts the shit out of me, but also get excited by that, then I was like, all right, let's have a crack at this,
Yeah.
And there's part of me that goes, there's that little ego part that is just like, go one more, like you've got it in you type of thing. But I think once I could really silence that and realise it was just the ego side of me, knowing that was the easy call and I'd feel good, everyone else around me would feel good about that decision because that's what they know me as.
That's right.
Yeah. Then I was like, okay, no, let's go with the more vulnerable, daunting decision and hang up the boots and just see what comes of it, mate. And look, I sit here sitting really content in that decision, but also I know I will go through phases and already have of genuine sadness.
Yeah.
Because I do love the game so much. I'm going to miss so many elements of it, down to the smallest things of the, as you say, putting the boots on in the change rooms and standing around just before the game and sharing that pre-game anxiousness and the nerves and the roar of the crowd coming up the race and just feeling that the energy just rolling through your body when there is an enormous cheer coming out onto the ground. And it is an addictive feeling. I remember back into the NAB Challenge series in my first year, I played a game against St Kilda, and I remember coming off that ground just like my body was just buzzing. I'd never felt a feeling like it before, and going, I'm just craving that again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it is the most incredible feeling, and that I know I will never be able to replicate.
So this is the dilemma, I reckon, that a lot of you guys face. Now, not everyone gets to play for the duration that you get to play, so maybe the leap off into the unknown is not as profound. But most of you have come through pathway football. You've been identified at, 13, 14, 15. When you get into the TAC Cup, you Gippy Power Boy, and you become institutionalised. Is a really it's a heavy word because
but it's right.
That becomes your adult life has been, as dedicated to this as you absolutely need to be.
Yep.
Did you have to imagine how sharp did your imagination have to be to see what it looks like without that before you felt comfortable jumping into it?
Yeah, it's hard. It was hard. It was hard, and it's hard. It still is hard to imagine what it's going to be like once pre-season rolls around and the footy's on again next year.
Because that hasn't come yet. That hasn't come for you yet.
Still hasn't come, and I know there's going to be these challenging periods. But at the same time, it was also like, okay, I felt like I'd done enough work within myself to not just be known and wrap my own identity in footy in itself as a footballer. I felt like I had enough work and enough tools to be able to navigate this period, to make the call to go, righto, what could this next chapter of putting a full stop in this look like without just going, okay, that was Dyso version 1, here's version 2. It's like, I'm going to bring all of that along with me, everything I've learned, everything I've been through, into this next phase of my life and create whatever that may be. Yeah.
That's is footy going to be part of it, do you think? Like, is it when you have all this built IP, you've developed so much of this part, so version 1, it feels like, I don't know, of course you can use that somewhere else.
Yeah.
But footy is the natural habitat, mate.
No doubt it is. And look, for me, I think in terms of a full AFL environment, I'm keen to get a bit of clean air from it. So good, whatever that may be, to really assess if I have that genuine passion, love, excitement for it after a period of time experiencing things outside of the AFL world. But in terms of having a kick next year and potentially helping out at a club somewhere, that does still excite me.
Yeah.
Because, as I've mentioned, I do love sort of helping guide and develop younger players. And if I can be in an environment where I can, potentially help guys on to pursue their AFL dream, or help a young bloke back in the country just feel really good within himself, or whatever it may be, I feel like that'll give me a lot of purpose and meaning throughout this next phase as well.
Well, that'll excite a lot of people who are probably prepared to get your manager's number or tap you on the shoulder personally and directly, I imagine. There are whispers already that you're going to go home and play footy for Lee and Gather. I think your brother might be heading back there to play, and I don't know how much footy you two have played together, but for this is a story we hear, that blokes who have been in the AFL system while their mates haven't, if they're still able to physically, the idea of getting back and playing some footy with them is is part of the kind of footy dream journey that they imagine for themselves.
Well, no doubt, and that's a big part of it too. Like, brother Azza, I've actually never played with him before.
Never played a game.
Never played.
No.
He spent.
He's a pretty good player.
He's pretty handy. I think he was 6 years Essendon VFL, 3 best and fairest, couple of team of the years.
Yep.
Very close to getting on the list. I probably should have pushed a bit harder and got him a look in. But look, that something like that really excite me.
Yeah.
I think wherever I am playing, whether it be back home in Leongatha, in the city somewhere, or whatever that is, I think it'll be a package deal, and Az will be coming with.
Right.
So I'll rope him into that. But yeah, and even just a number of mates that, it's a great phase even back at Leongatha now. The guys I grew up playing with, we won 3 flags from age 11 to 13. Those boys are playing senior footy at Leongatha now and have played in 8 straight grand finals.
How good's that? Yeah.
So
are you good enough to get a game?
I was going to say, mate, I'll be running around in the 2, seriously. Oh dear. So yeah, look, that would be a little fairy tale to go. At the end of all this, the body's still healthy, still in good nick, and be able to run out on a Saturday and just love the footy back in the country or wherever it is. That'd be pretty cool.
So have you imagined? Sometimes imagine's not the right word. When you've been doing what you've been doing, and it's the life that so many young Australian blokes and girls now want to live, right? Have you been in the middle of all of that? Have you been watching mates of yours go about their lives? And have you been looking at any of the things they've been doing going, you know what? The idea of sticking a backpack on and heading over to Europe or Central America or somewhere for 6 months and I don't know where I'm going to be sleeping next week, just do that part of the kind of life adventure. Has any of that been a longing for you?
Yeah, for sure. And there have been moments throughout the career where, you might be going through a rough trot through in the guts of a season, middle of winter, when your mates have ducked off and gone and done the European summer and are trekking around the world. But to me, I've never seen it as a sacrifice. Everything I've done in terms of what I haven't been able to do, I see it more as an investment in terms of, not going to parties or having as many beers as you would have liked or keeping your diet so dialed in. I just saw that as a real investment to get the best out of myself. But I think there is part of me that is now really excited to go and explore the world, see different things, new cultures, new people, and just, grow and develop in that way now,
Some people are going to find it very easy to break the mould of the diet and the this and the that and the routine. And are you going to find that? You're going to find that an easy transition? Is that something you're welcoming?
Something that I think early, like literally, what are we? 6 weeks maybe post footy, and I've honestly don't think I've ran more Ks in that period than I ever have, because I don't have a bloody exercise plan to follow. Usually every single session is dialed in day to day to the minute on what you're doing, including the off season. So all of a sudden I've woke up with no plan, nothing in the diary, and I've just waking up most mornings and punching out Ks on the road. So which has been great for, I think, one, yes, physically, but also more so for my mental sanity.
I was just about to ask you that, like the mental, the goodness that brings you from a mental as much as a physical thing, I imagine would be a real thing.
Yeah, and it is funny. Like, I think everything that I was so curious and willing to dive into all the different recovery modalities, the mindfulness, the meditation, the breath work, the everything that in my head was all about performance, all about getting the best out of myself. And now I've finished footy, I've found, well, no, I'm not going to stop that. So I'm still getting up. Yeah. I'm in the beach. I'm up early. I'm doing my ice baths. I'm still just continuing that because it just makes me feel great within myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dyson Heppell, our special guest, Hostplus One. Moving jobs or into retirement, Hostplus moves with you. That's a plus issued by Hostplus Pty Limited. General advice only. Consider the Hostplus PDS and TMD at hostplus.com.au before deciding if Hostplus is appropriate for you. Welcome back to the show, Dyson Heppell, our special guest. Let's go back to the kind of start of the AFL journey and see how sharp and acute your memories are. So, variously speaking, as I tried to kind of remember your draft year, you were kind of spruiked as being a top sort of 5, top 10. You're always in that conversation as being one of the elite level picks. How early did you, if you can remember, did it dawn on you that the people at AFL level were holding you in that sort of esteem?
Yeah, look, it was I think, look, even going back a couple of years from that, so I remember playing in the Vic Country National Carnival up on the Gold Coast, and that was a real. I'd had this dream and passion to go and pursue playing AFL. I was the gun local footballer, pretty solid at Gippsland Power, and then got into the Vic Country team. And at that carnival, I realised how much work I had to do to become one of the top players within Australia. And I remember guys in that year like Dave Swallow, Harley Bennell, these type of guys just dominating the carnival and just going, geez, like they are levels above, And I do recall just going back and having this inner drive and full commitment to give as much as I possibly could to get the most out of myself. And as a 16-year-old, I sort of go, I don't know whether that was a bit unusual, that was a bit breaking the mold type of thing. And there's a real moment, I reckon, in my life where I just knew that I wanted to give every ounce that I had to making this thing work and getting drafted. And then I improved a hell of a lot in my bottom age Gippsland Power year. Had a really strong season there, but I was still around them. I didn't know still whether I was on the radar. I'd met with a few managers. They'd spoke about clubs sort of sniffing around the mark. And I actually played a really solid final series with Gippy Power that year. And then leading into my top age year, I just felt like I'd grown as a person. I grew another couple of inches, so sort of that helped as well, and became went from a halfback flanker. They put me into the middle, and sort of had a really strong top age year, and had a strong Vic Country Carnival All Australian, captained that side with a couple of other boys in Luke Parker and Mitch Hallahan and a few boys there. So incredible fond memories of that year, but. Got to the back end of that year, and Gippy Power, I mean, we were going pretty well, and I remember playing a preliminary final against Oakley Chargers, who Andrew Gaff was averaging about 40 touches a game with Oakley. And we played him at Princess Park, and I've probably had the game of my life. I don't reckon I've ever played better in my life. And I remember just taking contested marks, which wasn't part of my game, and I've sort of dragged my team over the line along with little Waller Anthony Tipperwoody, who Waller was running around with us at the time as well. And I remember going then, I was like, righto, I reckon I'm going to be a genuine sort of first round top end pick here, and just feeling really confident that I was going to be able to handle it and make the grade.
Yeah.
And then, actually the following week we played Calder Cannons in the TAC Cup. Not allowed a tag back then, but Cam Guthrie tagged me in the bloody grand final and gave me a genuine bath. So that was a good experience within itself, and we got stitched by Calder. Mitch Wallace, Tom Liberatore, Dion Prestia, these type of guys who I was playing against. So look, unbelievable memories of those junior years, but then, knowing that I think I'm going to be a genuine chance of being a high-end pick here.
Yeah. So that was the starting point, and we've spoken a bit about the journey along the way, and we're not going to dive into the, your best game and your toughest opponent and all of that. There's other places for that.
Yep.
But you come out the end of it all with this incredible career that you've built for yourself and these telling relationships. And it's amazing, this relationship that we've seen you build with young Harrison through the footy club. You've been in here and spoken to us about it, and you've taken us on the journey with him. Tell us about why that's so important to you, and how that, at the end of, from the starting point of your career through to where you are now, this is part of who you are going to be coming out the other end.
Yeah, mate, and incredible in itself, this one too. And look, I guess diving into the story, I don't know if we want to roll down it with scleroderma and my grandmother, but for listeners that haven't heard, we might as well dig into the story. So my grandmother passed away from an autoimmune disease called scleroderma. When I got drafted, came on the AFL scene, I linked up with the Scleroderma Foundation and became an ambassador for the foundation itself to try and raise as much awareness for the cause itself and the disease itself, to try and find a treatment and a cure for this disease. It was quite unknown, was regularly being misdiagnosed, and we were trying to really put it on the map so it was getting diagnosed properly and people could get the right treatment. Throughout that period, through the Scleroderma Foundation, they introduced me to a little tacker, Harrison Pennicott, who was the youngest in the world to be diagnosed with scleroderma, the only one in Australia with his type of scleroderma. And seeing this kid's joy for life, his exuberance, his excitement, his just genuine love that he had for others around him. And he was 5 at the time and had been through so many challenges in his life. That just a number of operations. He'd had fingers amputated. He'd had to be, put under general anaesthetic so many times for a number of operations, and just seeing how much joy and gratitude he had for the smaller things in life gave me just this crazy perspective. And that was on the other side of coming out of the whole supplement saga and the back end of that. So I had a new outlook on life as well. And it was just this awesome little, marriage of a friendship and cultivating a relationship over the next 7-8 years to where we are now. And he has just given me this unbelievable perspective on life and footy and family and whatever that may be. And yeah, it's been a beautiful little friendship.
I don't know how well you knew your grandma. Did you get to spend time with her?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So, Oma was still around when I had got drafted as well. Yep. So she passed away, I think I was 20. I remember probably our last photo together was holding the Rising Star trophy in her living room at home, and shared some beautiful moments with her, and she was just the most loving, caring, just sweet, gentle human, and through that it just got me really curious to learn more about scleroderma itself and try and help as much as I possibly could.
And I can only imagine that through the relationship with Harris and with H, as he's become fondly known, the insight that gives you into what your grandma must have gone through as a kid herself is a deeply valuable and highly profound kind of thing that you get to kind of experience for yourself through the relationship with a little fella. I turned on the Ben and Harry Mackay podcast the other day, and they're wearing the T-shirts and having a yak, and there's going to be thousands of people thinking, well, and I know there's the merch line that's available. The young fella does his own artwork, and you've spoken to us about that. So use the platform you've got now to give that a bit of a push.
Amazing. So, look, off the back of all of this, I sat down with Kate, my partner, and we thought, look, okay, how can we have the biggest influence that we possibly can on this kid's life, as well as raise as much awareness as we can for scleroderma and for others. And we came up with a concept of a clothing label utilising H-Man's little drawings and designs as the graphics on the kit. So we've worked with a company called Saucy, who have helped us find the best manufacturers around the world, using our own custom cuts and then grabbing H-Man's little artworks and designs to put on the garments, and come up with the label called H the Label. So if anyone wants to go for a geeze, hthelabel.com, or you'll find it on our social media platforms. But yeah, the whole idea being Harrison's written a big bucket list of stuff that he wants to tick off in his life. And some of the proceeds of the sales of the kit will go towards pumping out his bucket list items and doing as much as that as we possibly can, and hopefully grow this thing to be able to, part of Harrison as well. Some of his bucket list items are like, he wants to do other things for other people. So it's helping other kids tick off bucket list items. It's buying Christmas presents for kids at Royal Children's Hospital. It's, these type of things that he wants to help as many people as he possibly can too. So I feel like we've got so much scope for this to grow into whatever it may be, but it certainly excites me at the moment. And along with Kate, we're putting a fair bit of time and effort and work into it, which we are absolutely loving. And H-Man's, he's buzzing. He's let me know that he can work 1 day a week. He's at school, so he's got 1 day to get his drawings done. It's all I can give you at the moment, Dicey, he reckons. But look, he's getting so much joy out of it as well. And, he rings me every time he sees someone in the street wearing one of his pieces. And it's like, and that just lifts us up as well.
How good. Cool. Haych, if you're looking for it. Hostplus One, Dyson Heppell, our special guest, back to wrap it up on the other side of this. Welcome back to the show. Hostplus One, Dyson Heppell, our very special guest. We've just about run out of time here, mate. One question I'm going to finish this series with all the guests is a simple one. Might be a complex answer. How's your relationship with footy these days?
Now, an enormous amount of love and gratitude and joy for footy in itself. I owe an enormous debt to footy, and it has shaped so much of who I am, and has provided me with the most incredible life, and I couldn't be more grateful for footy.
Sounds like there might be a bit more to give too, somewhere along the line.
Yeah, no doubt, mate. I reckon a bit left in the tank. We'll see how we go.
Well, mate, it's been a joy to catch up with you. It really has, and I think everybody who listens to you whenever they get the opportunity to, or has today, maybe for the first time, is going to be really impressed. There's probably other words for it, for the way you've been able to get through some really challenging times for an individual, particularly a young bloke coming into the AFL environment with dreams and aspirations all over the place. So it's always an honour for us to be on the other side of the mic having a chat to you, and we get plenty from your observations and lived experiences, mate. So thanks for coming in for a chat.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
Go
it.
on, Andy. You're a gun, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Dyson Heppell, our very special guest. Don't forget, hthelabel.com.au is the place to go. Find out the stuff that Dyson and Kate and Harrison are doing. Hostplus One, moving jobs or into retirement, Hostplus moves with you. That's a plus issued by Hostplus Pty Limited. General advice only. Consider the Hostplus PDS and TMD at hostplus.com.au before deciding if Hostplus is appropriate for you.